Welcome to the DLC for a new casted game, new map, new civs, new UI. Everything is new and shiny and amazing. On the west side in green, we have Mr. Eisman TV as the House of Lancaster. And on the east side in the yellow, we have Makomi as the Knights Templar. I am so excited to share this casted game with you. I have wanted to be sharing these new civs to figure out what they're doing, and these guys both on Twitch. I'm going to put the link in the description for both of their channels so you can go and watch them while they're testing out the new civs. And these are top guys, you know, 1700 1800 ELO, so this is going to be really interesting. Now this map is interesting. So Carmel makes me sound very American when I say that. I feel like I should say it the British way and call it caramel. But it's an interesting one. So I'm not actually sure where the sheep spawn. It looks like Makomi's having a much better sheep day. So going around the edges, a bit like prairie seems to be the way. And also you can see from the spawn, Makomi's just revealed 3 of those berry patches. So as a Byzantine main, you would love to go and drop your winery in there in the middle. That would be absolutely lovely. And with a back market, pretty good for Byzantines too. But as you can see from the map, as these players reveal it, you have a market just behind your base, so trade is terrible. So if you are not a Mongol enjoyer, this map's going to be good for you. And then you'll also be able to see that we have big patches of resources. So we've got over here, we've got almost 2 big deer packs, 2 small deer packs, 2 berry packs, and a boar. It literally, you couldn't get more food in one place. So and it seems like the same on the other side. So this map, there's like this sort of food heaven over in one side. So if you can somehow secure that, then you're living your best life. There's sacred sites in the top corners. So if you're sending those pilgrims out, they're going to be going over there pretty easily. There's 1 in each corner, so only 2. So good for anyone who wants to go for the sacred sites. And then you've got some weird little wood lines and some little cliffs. So it's kind of like a naked Lipany, and you know, we like Lipany on this channel. But age ups coming through. We've got Lancaster Castle over here, so nice little spot. So obviously it's a defendable keep. It doesn't have garrison slots, so one thing to remember, unlike the keeps you get for English, you can't put your villagers inside. So if Mr. Eisman decided to put it over here, he would still need to build towers and all that stuff. But over here, he's clearly using it because it can also defend that stone, and he's also securing up a bit of food, which I think is good. Slow age up, so I'm imagining we're going to be seeing one of the new buildings for the House of Lancaster, which we've all seen is the manor, the passive resource generating powerhouse. But over on the Knights Templar side, we can see in the TC that we have the Kingdom of France age up coming through. So this gives you 15% military production boost and a 5% saving on your gold as well. So it's, I don't know if any of you have actually tried the Knights Templar. Aging up and then not queuing villagers feels really weird. It's just a very strange. But Makomi not going for the early pilgrim, so to get that first pilgrim you need to go for safe passage, which again takes another 10 seconds from your TC, so a little more idle time. And then you use this little pilgrim destination button, you click X or click that, and then you go and select the sacred site and it sends you over there. So as you'll have seen also from the scouting, Knights Templar get vision on all of the relics and the sacred sites, which actually for this map you know where the sacred sites are, but on other maps it can be quite useful. Now we have a new unit already, so this is the first time seeing this guy in action. Look at him go. Let's pull the UI away. Let's have a little look at the baby brother, as I have dubbed him. So this is the Chevalier Confrère, and it's basically a mini knight. So if you go for the French age up, we'll spin the UI, there we go. Then you get this little guy, and they're relatively cheap. So if we take a little look, they're only 90 food, 76 gold, which is very nice. Oh, and doing a little glide there. Clearly got caught on a little bit of black ice there over by the gold vein. So I like this. I think this is nice and aggressive, and then we can also see, if you see this big yellow dot, that means we have a pilgrim. So this one you can see 130 gold. So on this map, it doesn't matter which sacred site you go to, you're going to get that maximum income. So if we take a little look there, he is living his best life as the baby brother is going and trying to deny the gold, but it is in range of that keep. So there we go, just to see that. Now this little guy, you can't micro. There's no control over it. You can't do anything with it. So you can select it, but that's literally about it. So they're going to run over there, and if they get caught by something, they're not going to be very happy at all. Now, the stone has been denied over here, and that baby brother is chilling, waiting. We can see some manners going up. Now, the problem that Makomi might have here is that now with the Lancaster Castle, it gives all of these manners arrow slits. So the passive generation is exactly the same whichever landmark you go for, but this one turns them into like little mini towers that you can't garrison in. So this theoretically, if he can stick another one in a fairly safe location, it's going to be very difficult to deny that stone, because these guys don't have a huge amount of health, 160. So, you know, that's not so great, but the gold income is already skyrocketing, and we can already see the second upgrade has come in. So we can see on the beautiful little UI, we have Sanctuary, which means that we've got 2 pilgrims now running, getting 130 gold per minute each. So 260 gold a minute, as we can see, a lot of gold in the bank for Makomi, and not even mining gold. So no, this isn't Roos. We're not getting the bounty, but we are trying to do a little bit of raiding. So Mr. Eisman is on it. He's putting a tower on his gold because I think he's got a couple of manners up, and he's thinking about these upgrades. Now, where do the upgrades live? We're going to find them. Here we go. So these ones, you get 3 as a maximum, and if you're playing a single player, if you're playing yourself, there's a really nice little UI thing, which I'm not going to switch to because it's going to mess up the caster mode, but where you can see how many manners and stuff you've got. It's really lovely. But here we can see you need to get these 2 upgrades, and then it unlocks 3 more and gives more health and stuff like that. So you need to pay 350 resources, then you can get 3 more, then you need to pay another 700 resources, and you unlock the possibility of building them. But the manners still cost the same amount of resources, so it's a big investment for a big amount of resources. These guys absolutely pump out resources like crazy. But Makomi is also thinking about the boom, so he's got a couple of those knights out. I think he ended up building 2, and now he's dropping a second TC with the gold piling in from the pilgrims that are going over to the sacred site. And let's take a little look as they go. Look at that. They pray, they shout, they disappear, and then the gold disappears into Makomi's bank. So absolutely loving the little animations on that. If we can catch a pilgrim getting hit by a wolf, you guys are gonna love it. I love it. It's amazing. So no fortresses yet. So basically for the Knights Templar, if you haven't seen, I'm explaining this in case anyone hasn't seen any of the new stuff, so I apologize if you've been watching the content preview over the weekend, but here we go. So we can see a couple of these spears coming out now, but basically the pilgrims are limited to 2 after those first 2 techs, and then you need to build the fortress. So if we take a little look over here, we need to build fortresses, and each of those will unlock 1 more pilgrim on whichever route that you're sending them in. So all the demi lancers have been pulled. So this is the Lancaster Castle ability. So depending on how many manners you get a bunch of these demi lancers. You get 2 plus 1 for every mana that you have, and it's a single levy, so you only get to use it once. So there's so many mechanics we're going to be jumping around and making sure. So these are the levies. The first one was here. Then in the Castle Age, you can do it where you get 8 yeomen plus an extra yeoman for every mana. So this is really a test of nerve, a test of grit, because if you can get all 9 manas up and then use the levy, you get like 11 demi-lancers, which is huge, whereas he's got 5, which is very nice. I'm not sure why he's got those, because Makomi doesn't have a huge amount of units. He's already got the sort of infantry here, and if this isn't going to be the classic composition for the House of Lancaster, I don't know what is. These guys looking absolutely amazing. Now, Also, the spears, if we check on the barracks, where are you? Here we go. So we do have that upgrade. So if we find one of these units, do they have it here? Yes. Billman, attacks reduces enemy armor by 2. The descriptions on these are really weird, so if you do maths, I don't, then you're going to notice it's a little bit weird. But basically, every time they attack a unit, the opponent's armor is reduced by 2. That's melee and ranged. Okay, so if you attack a knight, suddenly 4 of their armor just vanishes from one little hit of the spear. So this is going to be really good. The more you can micro these to hit all of the individual units, and then using your yeoman with their extended range, because they have a long range compared to a normal archer, it's going to be super strong. Now, Makomi is on 2TC, but he's actually only just catching up on villagers. So obviously with the pilgrims you have a bit of downtime, so I'm surprised he's still not quite caught up yet. But it does look like he's keeping this gold in the bank, so it looks like potentially he's going to be going for that castle age. Now, we can see Mr. Eisman wants to go for the push. He's only going for 3 manors, not being too greedy, which, as you've probably all seen, you can be very greedy with these Lancaster boys. But Makomi is massing up in the base spears and archers. But also, do you notice something? No lumber camps, because these guys, they drop off wood every single chop. They actually drop off 1 wood, and then they also drop off 20% of that as food as well. So the food income and the wood income for these guys is absolutely insane. But reinforcements coming in now. The Lancaster flood is starting to go. This feels very English. It's a variant, but seeing spears and archers streaming over to your base feels very familiar. So now, we don't see any fortresses. Now, they are super defensive keeps. If we take a little look at this, they cost a lot, actually. 300 gold, 600 stone, but they give some additional defensive bonuses to units around them and all that kind of stuff, so it's really good. And we can see that Makomi is thinking about his route. You got to think of these pilgrims like traders, so he's trying to secure this up and get this defendable so that these pilgrims don't die, because this is a huge amount of resources. I think it's like 3 or 4 villagers per pilgrim, something like that. So it's really useful. But the Lancaster mass is starting to build, starting to look scary, and the Rams are slowly coming in. Now, the TC is starting to make a bit of a difference with the eco of those manors. I'm not sure how that compares. If we take a little goosey gander, it looks like at the moment they're fairly even. A lot more food than wood here, but the numbers are fairly even. But the big push is coming, and it looks like Makomi is ready on his side. He's going to defend. Is he going to take it? Is he going to pull back? So he's got a lot of villagers exposed. The demi-lancers going in for the charge on the villagers. Spears trying to catch them, and this is where, look at those knights all debuffed with that purple debuff there, and they're just melting. The spears trying to get on the top of the demi-lancers, the spears chasing the knights around. I feel like you need the Benny Hill soundtrack on this, with all the units running around in circles. But the demi-lancers trying to get on top of those villagers that are now torching down the Rams over here, and we can see the archers now getting caught by the demi-lancers and the spears chasing them on the back. But the yeomen have such long range. They don't have any additional attack compared to a normal archer, but that range is going to make such a huge difference. And it looks like the TC has gone down, unfortunately, so that investment is now going to be moot, and all of these purple debuffed ones from the spears. So this is where, even later in the game, when you've got all of that additional armor, it's just instantly nullified by a single spear. So this is where Lancaster is super powerful, and it feels like Lancaster is the civ that shouldn't have gunpowder, because they've got such a crazy trash unit. And by trash, when you hear people saying trash, they don't mean terrible. What they mean is wood and food, not gold units. They're not terrible units. Actually, flee! They're actually really good. Now, this is where I think we should be seeing Makomi is going to have to shift his pilgrim destination to the bottom site, because if they keep going this way, they're going to get caught by his army, because this is what you need to be doing against the Knights Templar, is blocking off the sacred sites because it's such a huge amount of their resources. So we've got another 15 seconds. We'll see where they pop out and what Makomi has planned. But he is just trying to mass up. His military numbers not quite at the level of Mr. Eisman, and he is starting to take off. But here comes the Pilgrim. Which way are we going? See, there we go. Really nice little bit of Pilgrim micro. So shifting it to another site, it really does force your opponent to scout and to actually figure out what's going on, which I really, really like. So, oh, this is a bit aggressive. So we're going into some horsemen as well as the baby brothers. The reason we're calling them baby brothers, just so you know, is because in Castle Age you get the Templar brother, which is basically a royal knight. The same stats but more health actually. So this guy, the Chevalier Confrère, which is the confrère is like something related to brother in French, so that's why. So from now on we're going to be calling him baby brother. I don't care what anyone else calls him. That's that's how we're going. So the baby brothers and the horsemen on the back trying to get onto top of those yeomen. The spears on the top just trying to tank up enough damage to get rid of those spears so that they can focus on the archers. Archers on the bottom side just trying to focus fire, and the Lancaster numbers still looking very strong, and the kiting is just crazy because of that range. So this is where it's going to be very, very dangerous for Makomi. He's got to be really super careful, because if Eisman decides to run away from this, he's going to have a much better time running away and kiting. But he's actually pushing in with that range, getting a couple of villagers now. So 6 of Makomi's villagers have gone down. He's still got a slight advantage on this one. But while Eisman is over there sitting in the base, let's take a little look. So farm transition. Hello? Really? Okay, so they're not English, just so you know. Let's take a look. So the Long Ranger trying to get more villagers over here, but the House of Lancaster don't have cheaper farms. So actually, I'm surprised he's not going for the I'm surprised he's not going for these upgrades to get more of these, because to be honest, with the investment, I think these are probably a little bit better. But you know, what do I know? These guys are much better than me. They know what they're doing. So this is a lot of gold in the bank for Makomi. And this is kind of the problem. Without double broadaxe, and once you've got your military upgrades, which we can see he has quite a lot of those already, there's not a lot to spend the gold on. So, but except we do have a bit of stone, so maybe a fortress is coming. Now, this is some top level stuff. This is what we like to see. So some cavalry now leaving the base with the units in there trying to pressure him, where we can see there he's massing up in the base with a tower. Again, not the English, so they don't get the network of castles over here either, but that's just some nice vision for him. And we can see some units defending up the gold on this side while he tries to go in and do some damage. This is really nice. So getting those reinforcements, doing some damage to Eisman on the backside as well, just to idle his economy a little bit. Don't want to be running under that Lancaster castle. It's not as powerful as a white tower, but it's still going to cost you a lot of damage. One of the horsemen going down there, and the rest just about making it out. So we can see a little contingent here trying to get on top of the villagers, both of these guys raiding. And if we see the little green snake that's appearing in Makomi's base, that's definitely going to be a ram. So a huge amount of forces being pulled to the bottom side. And oh no, he might be caught out of position now, because in his base we can see the green flood moving around the market, trying to get on top. More towers going up to I guess get vision and to do that. But we can see he's back. Makomi is back on the gold vein over there, trying to idle up the economy, and his forces are moving back into the base. So he's got plenty of houses, so at the moment it's not too much of an issue, and he's just trying to mass up. We can see the horsemen running in. That little contingent has been taken down pretty effectively, and the ram there making it just so that the archery range survives. So that house is probably going to be gone in a second. There we go, crumbling into dust. But this is a big fight, and oh Oh no, these spears have been caught out of position there, so this potentially could be quite good for Makomi if he can capitalize on it and he can target fire those spears. So that tower getting in the way of the action. We're gonna have to see. It looks like those knights, that's a huge mass of the mini knights. The baby brothers doing a huge amount of damage there, and now the spears are gone. Their ranged armor is going to help them stay alive. That is massive. Look at these guys, and they look amazing. Let's zoom in. You can see the uniforms, and as a red player myself, I definitely am going to be enjoying that. But another notification down here, we've got another set. We've got the Hobolars, another new unique unit. Wow, I'm just too excited for this. So this is the Lancaster horsemen. So they don't get normal horsemen, they get the Hobolar. The Hobbit is the little pony. It's a little bit cheaper, it moves fast, and it has some good charge damage, but it's not particularly strong generally. So if you take a little look at their damage, it's only 7, and it has bonus damage, but the charge is also pretty good with 7/7 again. So charging against archers, I think, is something like 28-30 damage, something along those lines. So, you know, that's basically what you want to be doing. But the military numbers looking fairly even now for both of these guys. Very heavy into the baby brothers, and we've also got a load of archers. So now playing the French variant very much like the French. So if we follow on with these guys, we can see, look, getting on top of those spears, not enough to take out those knights, and even the Hobolar do not want to be taking that fight. So if we see now the big massive spears, and I don't think that Makomi has the archers for this one, so they are going to be doing a tactical retreat. The poor spear at the back getting taken out, and the archers trying to do a little bit of micro. They're going to get caught by the Hobolars on the back. Oh, but nice little turnaround there for Makomi. So this is really nice. So pulling back to the base, this is where, oh, we can see, we saw at the top, we've got another little contingent trying to get on the backside, but these spears are the issue because of all of that anti-armor that they do. This is the big problem. But it looks like, yeah, it looks like Eisman's playing these like English, and I'm not sure that's the right call because there's so much food here. So much food. Just drop a couple of towers and get the boar, get the deer, get everything, because these farms also don't have increased gather rates either. I think, yeah, like it's wall. Okay, so maybe he's thinking the same. Maybe he's walling up. To be honest, I know it's blasphemy. He could have pro-scouted all of this while he was doing that. He's got the stables, he's got a load of spare gold, but it looks like he's thinking about the castle age. Maybe that's why he's spending this wood, but I think a Lancaster farm transition instead of manors is potentially the wrong call here, but we're going to have to wait and see. We're still on 1 TC, and it looks like Makomi has shifted the pilgrims back over, going in that direction, and he's very much thinking about the castle age. So we're going to be checking in his TC now because we're going to be seeing that come through, and this is the problem. This is where you got to be really careful. So I'm so glad that he did this, because your villagers queue up and then your age up is put inside the queue. So there we go. You got to cancel them all and you got to wait for the villager. Now we're going for the Angevin Empire. So we can't see this one just yet, but this is where fortresses and docks get 30% health. So now, if I remember correctly from all the different age ups, this is going to give him access to the heavy spear. So this is my prediction. There's so many age ups. Trying to keep on top of all of these is absolute insanity. But we've got a huge amount of archers. We've got a load of knights. This force looking very, very strong. If we can heal these up when we get to the castle age, this would be amazing. And whoa, these are some walls. Hello. Now, I like a big wall, but that is the greediest wall I think I've ever seen. So double castle age up, switch over to income per minute, and oh, the Hobolars have found a load of villagers on the bottom. So 13 villagers have gone down so far, and it looks like the archers, oh no, I don't think archers want to be fighting Hobolars. Ah, here we go. Here come the spears. That's what we need. And was I correct with all the different options? We have the heavy spear. Yes, we do. So these guys, a little bit expensive, but the whole point is they are men-at-arms that do bonus damage against cavalry. So that's basically, they're a heavy spear, literally, but they're basically a men-at-arms. So they're countered by crossbows, but they counter infantry, they have armor, so they're really, really strong. They're, I think, probably one of the best Castle Age unique units that the Templar get. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot of these. And look at this force of knights. This is insanity. Look at those numbers. That these Hobbler do not want to take this fight. The pathing on the cavalry as fantastic as ever. These guys charging in with their veteran armor and they're trying to get on top. Look at these guys go. Changing the formation, gotta love it. So now we're gonna see if Eisman is pulling them in. He is. He's trying to get on top of them with the spears because that's gonna melt those guys. Getting the debuff as well, going for the yeoman. And the funny thing is, even in the Castle Age, I don't think Eisman has to change his composition very much. But we do have some big brothers coming. Yes, we do. So let's take a little look when we've got one. Come on. Here we go. These guys are tanky boys. 275 health, sword, 24 sword, 36 charge. They're literally a Royal Knight, but with about 40 extra health, but they are expensive. So 120, they're 140, but because he went for the French upgrade in Feudal, he gets the discount on those as well. So saving 7 gold per, which is, you know, nothing to be sniffed at, but there we go. So at the moment, it looks like Makomi has the mobility and he's really starting to build up some numbers. So almost both of these guys, almost at 100 units each. This is going to be a huge battle. And the villagers are actually somehow managing to build this wall, which is just absolutely unbelievable. So walled in, still none of the deer, the boar or the berries taken up here. So yeah, okay. But a little tiny gold on the back. So I'm not sure what I think about these 1600 golds just yet. We're going to have to wait and see. But yeah, I think in this map, the wood lines just make me very sad. That's, you know, thinking that this is my secondary wood line would just make me really, really sad. But that's just how it goes. So here we go. We got the first fortress. Where are you, my friend? So I imagine we're going to be, yeah, securing the sacred site. There's double gold, so this is going to be really nice and defensive. It also gets some bonuses to defend your units there as well, which is really great. So this is also, as we watch this big engagement, every fortress you build gives you an extra pilgrim, up to a maximum of 10 pilgrims. So you get 2 from your TC, and then if you build 8 fortresses, then you get a maximum of 10, and they generate 130 gold per minute per pilgrim. There we go. Wow, that's a mouthful. So basically, if you can defend them, that's 1,300 gold per minute that doesn't take population, because that's really important. This does not include any pilgrims. They're not in this list. So something really important, but losing a couple of units on the back there. So you can see these ones at the back that are debuffed. They do make a big difference when they've been hit by that. The yeoman can really do a lot of damage, but he's pulling in the heavy units sitting back in the base and using these raiding ones. So I'm not sure raiding with that many is a great call, but you know, you're going to do a bit of damage, hopefully, with those. But also something to remember, now we can see the one little fortress on this list, which is very, very nice. I love this new UI. So basically the fortress also now acts as a landmark, because obviously with the Knights Templar they only have their TC. So if Eisman had managed to ram down that TC, it's GG. Now there's a fortress, there's 2 landmarks, but something to consider as we see a nice little raid on the back getting caught out. Those big brothers doing very well against the spears, but I think there's just a few too many over there for him. But so now the fortress acts as a landmark, but it doesn't survive forever. That's the issue. So once it's taken out, a synchronized shot. Oh, look at those archers. They just vanished. Oh, that's so good for Eisman, but so bad for Makomi. Look at this, these yeomen, and that ability is absolutely insane. It's the unmissable mangonel. The knights trying to get round onto the yeoman on the backside, the men-at-arms, and that taking out those front lines. They've got some Earl's Guard here with those little hammers. They're the Lancaster men-at-arms, which we'll have a look at some point if we get chance. But these archers are now starting to really take those out, and the front line has gone for Eisman, so this is where he's going to be in trouble. And also, as we're running back here, we haven't even talked about the King's College. There's just so much to talk about. Synchronized shot off, absolutely flattening those archers again. Absolutely insane. But the King's College has a load of unique technologies, so as this fight is coming to an end, we will pull up here, it gives a discount of all technologies of 15%, which is insane anyway, and you get all of these unique abilities. So you get one for Hobblars, you get Demi-Lancer and stuff, you get increased trebuchets, you get hand cannons in Castle Age, yeah, you heard it. So Knights Templar don't get gunpowder, and Lancaster can get gunpowder in the Castle Age. Then you've got this military tactics one, and then you've got something to do with ships. So we're not going to look at those just yet. We've got a couple more fortresses going up to defend. So we've got one over here on the route and another one in the base. So this is going to keep that Pilgrim trade line, as it were, defended from the synchronized shot. Not doing a huge amount there. So it's also good to remember synchronized shot's really good, but it is just the yeoman damage. So this does mean that if you're doing it against armored units, then it's not going to do as much. If you can hit a mass of spears and archers, on the other hand, that's where it's absolutely incredible. But looking at this income, now I think the big difference I'm noticing here is that Makomi isn't going for loads of farms, as I say that he's dropping farms, but he's gone to the little food den over here. He's cleaned up all of those deer, bar the one little carcass there. He's had the boar, and now he's also on the bottom side as well, so he's also getting all of these as well. Whereas it looks like Eisman hasn't. He's got a couple more manors now, so we can see that he's got, what are we on, 5? I don't know if he's got any more hidden anywhere else. You'd expect them to be somewhere else. A huge amount of production for him, but yeah, so he's gone heavy into farms and hasn't used the map food. So I feel like if he'd done that and that would have been something else, he might have even been able to have more units. But we can see very heavy on the gold at the front. Is he thinking, is he just going to mass up? We got some stone as well, so potentially going to be finishing off that mana transition if we take a little look at the text. So how has he got 5? I don't know the numbers, guys. I don't know how he's managed that, but he needs to get... Oh, so this is the one that gets 3, so he can have 6 already. That's it. That's what makes sense. So a couple of those guys, those brothers, getting taken out by the Lancaster mob outside of Eisman's base, and going heavy on stone now. But here we go. Rule of Templar. So this is for the Templar brothers. They get +2 charge damage for all nearby charging heavy cavalry. So if you've got 20 of these guys, so these guys, how many have we got? 6. So they're going to get on charge once this ability comes in. They're all going to get 12 extra damage each. So this is something that's really going to mass up the more of these that he can get. It also works with the baby brothers. It also works in team games, from what I understand, if your allies have got units with you. So really strong, and I absolutely love this ability. So cheeky Springald in the back, just a little token Springald, that's what you love to see. And Makomi is also going for some siege, so if we take a little look, here we go. But remembering for the Templar, you get wood discount, so your siege workshop is cheaper, and you also get cheaper siege engines. So rams are 150, mangonels are only 300, so this is going to make a big difference if he wants to shift into it. But obviously, if we take a little look, there's no gunpowder, so no bombards, no culverins. So in Castle Age, brilliant. In Imperial Age, maybe a little bit more tricky. So here we go. So the wall is trying to be taken down. We've got crossbows on the back there trying to take out those knights and spears. I think we're going to be seeing a synchronized shot. Let's get ready for it, because we've got a lot of yeomen slowly moving into position, and if Makomi gets caught in his base, this is going to be really bad. But looking at these brothers, villagers being pulled back now, a lot of them idle. They have been seen by Eisman. They're not going to make it. Sorry guys, but here we go. Are the yeomen going to do it? Are they? Mangonel's going to try and get a shot as well. Synchronized shot, getting the archers, but hitting lots of the armored units. Mangonel's at the top, trying to get on top of the yeomen if they can. Makomi is keeping them defended, but with that extra range, he's really going to struggle to get the Mangonels on top of those yeomen, because they're just going to keep kiting back, and then the Mangonels are going to have to keep packing and unpacking. So a little shot here and there. So I think it's all going to come down to these knights to see who can get the final hit, but he's got no frontline now. This is, I think Eisman's gone so heavy into yeomen, he's not got any frontline units. They're doing a lot of damage, but the knights are coming in. If they get some good charges here, that's really going to take them down. So numbers wise, he's still managing to target fire these really well, and Let's follow along with these guys, pulling back to the keep that he's built over in the middle to try and secure up the center of the map. So if we take a little look, 90 to 93, but the income is really starting to kick off for Makomi now that he's got these fortresses. So he's got 5 pilgrims now coming in, and the mangonels are there. So trying to force this fight, trying to push the yeomen in, but the yeomen, if they synchronize shot those mangoes, oh, that's the wrong shot because, oh, he's hit the men-at-arms. If he'd have gone for the mangoes, they'd have all vanished from the face of the earth. We've got some horsemen coming in on the backside. We've got the keep over here, and Eisman pulling back into that defensive position really nicely there to try and get a better engage. We can see more reinforcements, more mangonels coming in. Are the villagers just going to chill there? It looks that way. So he's really... Makomi doing the right thing here, trying to focus on those. Oh, some nice shots on the bottom there with the mangonels, trying to make sure that he gets rid of those yeomen, because that's really the big issue. A couple of mangonels getting popped by villagers and knights, but the front line still evaporating. He's got to go into this. He's going into knights, but I think they're just too expensive. I think he just needs some spears. He just needs something to keep all those units off of his archers, off of his yeomen, and another synchronized shot, but he just doesn't have enough units at this stage. Lots of low health yeomen, and the numbers really going to start turning towards Makomi now, and he's also captured both sacred sites on the back as well. And we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but Makomi's got all 5 relics. There's so much going on in this game. As you can tell, I'm a little bit excited. It's like a kid at Christmas, so this is great. So now the numbers massively turned in Makomi's favor. We can see villagers building a tower over here to try and get these villagers off this little mini gold vein, and it looks like he's going to be focusing on that keep, but I think with it fully garrisoned, it's probably a bit too dangerous to do that. So the trebs that are slowly going to be making their way across, they will be the right call for this as well. So it's both players trying to tower up the golds in the center to keep the villagers off there, and he's just going to go for the sprinkled emplacement. Not going to garrison the villagers, he's just going to wait for that sprinkled emplacement, and in 20 seconds these villagers are going to realize what's going on. So we've got some trebs coming down as well, so obviously these guys also slightly cheaper, which is very nice. And we can see the knights. Oh, the knights are going to come in. Are they going to get them? And after all of that, this sprinkled doesn't even come in and the gold's exhausted. Oh, that's so annoying. You hate to see it. So yeah, the knights getting a nice little raid on here. So the 30 villagers for the House of Lancaster coming in, as well as these trebs that are now working down this keep. So numbers still pretty even. We can see that he's the Eisman's going for the hoblars, and the yeoman not very many spears, which I think potentially could be the wrong call here, because the spears will basically beat these men-at-arms in numbers because of that armor debuff. So this is a huge amount of trebs, 4 trebs working down these buildings and pushing forward on their own. Okie dokie. But 5 minutes on the sacred sites now, so he's got to try and push in. We've only got palisade walls, but I don't think Eisman is thinking about that. He's not going to be able to decap this one because there's fortresses all over the place, and Makomi is full farm transitioned, so he has double market, can't actually trade, so that's something to remember also about Knights Templar. But you do get these special levies, so basically you can trade in food for a certain amount of gold per minute. So the cheapest one is 300 for 2 minutes, then you get 600 for 3 minutes, and the best one is 900 for 4. So you spend 4,000 food and you get 3,600 gold back for nothing. And you can also sell resources as well, so really strong. So not investing in any more fortresses at this stage. It looks like his gold income is absolutely fine, and he's mining gold, so being very careful not to go too crazy because the fortresses are very expensive, 900 resources a pop, and the trebs trying to take out that siege from a distance with those cool little Templar shots. So both players, I think, gearing up for a big battle now. They're trying to mass up as much as possible, but it's all going to be about the composition, I think, because the numbers looking fairly even. In comes the charge from the Templar brothers. They are doing that. The crossbows on the backside, and but the hoblars they're going to get on top of those mangonels, aren't they? There's a lot of hoblars, and the trebs on the back, I think, are going to be sacrificial lambs, but I don't think that's the right call. I thought this was going to be going in Makomi's favour, but it looks like it might be shifting towards Eisman. I think going for the trebs was a big mistake. I would have gone for the crossbows and the mangonels. He's going for it now. We can see in the centre he's trying to take those out because the trebs aren't going to be taking out your army, at least for the most part. But the men-at-arms and these Templar brothers are really tanking a huge amount of damage, and that's just managed to do it. So I think moving those hoblars away and not getting them on top of those rage units has made a massive difference there. We can see 73 military against 22, and the income is really starting to shift in Makomi's favour. So it's Eisman's going to have to mass up if he wants to take a fight, but it looks like Makomi is going to be pushing the issue, and he's going to be going in hard and trying to take out the rest of these forces, with villagers going down. The villager numbers for Makomi only rising almost at 110, so he's getting close to where he will be happy at his maximum, and his income, his food income, is looking absolutely insane. So here we go, only 22 units, but these brothers are going to end it. So Eisman calling it, and Makomi flooding into the base with those Templar units. What a fantastic game. Make sure you check out both of these guys on Twitch, and I can't wait to share more crazy DLC Knights of Cross and Rose action with you guys.